case out of Michigan. 4 students killed, 7 others injured. It is a case in which Jennifer Crumbley's son is now in prison and will never be released after pleading guilty to murder and terrorism charges. And now the question is whether the parents share some responsibility for their son's actions. So we've been recapping what's been happening earlier today in court and earlier in this trial because we're waiting to see if the prosecution is going to put on any rebuttal case. Defense is rested. So while we wait to make that happen, let's take a look at more additional testimony, again, from the earlier portion of this case. Direct examination of Ms. Crumbley, cross-examination could not be more important for this jury, so let's go back in, pick up some more of that.
Did you mess around with him?
Yes.
Okay, what did you do to him?
When they were downstairs in the basement playing Ouija board one night, I went and flipped the circuit breaker off in the house, and he thought it was the ghost they conjured up on the Ouija board.
Did James ever mess around with you or with Ethan?
Yeah, a little bit.
Give us an example of what he did.
He said a lamp fell off a ledge in the basement, and so he named the ghost Victoria, so he was convinced there was another house ghost. So just kind of like an ongoing, like our house ghost, we called it. My son named it Boris Johnson. My husband named it Victoria. It was just it was just a little phase.
Was there ever a time where James pretended he got electrocuted?
Yes.
What did he do?
We were remodeling our living room, and he was taking the old ceiling fan down and having to figure out what wires go where to the new ceiling fan. And as he was reaching up, he pretended to get electrocuted, and he fell on the ground and was shaking, and I ran up and I kicked him. I don't know why I kicked him, but I did. And then he stopped, and I realized he was joking, and my son had the phone recording the whole time.
So this kind of stuff between you, your son, and your husband was like typical joking around kind of stuff?
It was.
Okay, so when you look back at these texts now and you see that there's a demon throwing bowls and things like that, now looking back, do you think, oh my gosh, he had mental issues?
No.
What do you think was going on?
Just what I said, that it was just him messing around. He only did it when we weren't at home, and it was for a short period of time, and then he got bored.
Now, you told this jury that when your son texted you that he was seeing demons and bowls flying off the shelves, that was in the spring of 2021. You recall that evidence, right?
Correct.
You don't dispute that was on your phone?
No.
And you don't dispute that at some point you read those messages?
No.
And you don't dispute that your son said at least one time, "Can you please text me back?"
Correct.
Okay. You don't dispute that when you're at the barn, your other messages show that you can take pictures, send pictures, and receive pictures.
Usually I'm at the barn. If I take pictures and I try to send them, they don't go through right away, or I won't send them until I hit a spot where I actually have service.
So in Exhibit 423, the Facebook message chat between you and James, the chat that you deleted, there are a number of pictures that James sent to you from the barn of a horse in a conversation about that particular horse. Do you dispute that?
No.
Okay. And in fact, dozens and dozens of pictures of the lake.
I'm sure, yes.
You're sure, okay. And those pictures were sent to you with a timestamp on that Facebook message chat.
Okay.
Do you dispute that?
No.
No. Okay. And then you responded in that same time frame. Do you dispute that?
No.
No. So that conversation with that picture that was taken at the barn was occurring while one of you were at the barn.
I'm sure it was.
Okay.
Okay, that was the cross-examination of part of Jennifer Crumbley's testimony. Philip Hamilton is here, Katherine Lizardo. I'm going to start with this issue with you, Philip, because the back and forth with the texting was so important because the prosecution is attempting to show that, hey, you were kind of checked out. You know, you had the horses you're dealing with at the barn, and then you had a little affair here and there. So you had no clue anyway what your son was doing, therefore negligent, therefore should have known what he was about to do, could have stopped him. What do you think about that argument?
I mean, interestingly, it kind of also plays into, and I'm not saying that the defense needs to, highlight the fact that she's having an affair, highlight the fact that at times she seems to be more in tune with these horses than her own son. But at the same time, right, it does go back to this place of what did she know? What should she have known? And again, to the extent that you may realize that your son is depressed or may have some mental health issues, I don't know then if you make the jump all the way to the point of he's going to go and shoot up his school and kill 4 people, right? And so to the extent that she's not that fully involved, to the extent that maybe some of these things are going over her head, negligent as she may be from a lay standpoint, from a legal standpoint, it just makes it a little difficult to just say she should have known that he's going to go and shoot up the school, right? Like it's a tough jump for me. Maybe it's because I'm a parent, maybe because I'm a little bit biased. I am a criminal defense attorney as well. But like all of those elements aside, what I'm trying to say is that the defense is not horrible here. Even though what her son did was, she has a lot to work with and to fight, and that jury's gonna have a lot to think about.
You know, that's why involuntary manslaughter is often part of a bigger case. It's not usually the charge because it strays so much into the civil criminal gray area. It's very difficult. Katherine, what do you think about this? Oh, he's just a wacky kid with his, he pretended he was being electrocuted. He keeps telling us these stories about the ghost doing things in the kitchen, breaking the bowls. You know, he's got an active imagination. So anything that we may have learned that sounded a little off, that's just him.
I think what the defense is trying to do there is this text message, a written evidence that says that Ethan was trying to reach his mom to say, please call me. I think there are demons in the house and there are bowls flying. But the mom is trying to create some context of why she was thinking a certain way at that time that she received the text, which is that we're a family that would joke around about these things. My husband would try to pretend he's electrocuted. I would joke around, and Ethan would joke around as well. That's why at the time that I got the text, I didn't think much of it, that maybe Ethan was trying to play some tricks on me again, or trying to make me think that something is going on when there's not, and he's just playing around. That is, I think, not that impactful in terms of it's an isolated event, that one text. And the reason that is becoming a focus is because if Ethan ever mentioned to her about, anything else he's hallucinating about, he might said it orally or about his mental health issue, and it's not written anywhere other than Ethan's journal. So they're trying to find a written evidence that she knew and she had about his hallucination or possibly mental issue.
Yeah, it's so important for the whole story to be told to this jury, if you're on the defense, so that you don't just look at these what seem like bizarre chunks of communication or lack of communication or stories within the family. You got to see the broader picture. You got to live with his family effectively for the defense to be successful. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back again looking at the seal from the court there in Michigan. They have yet to reconvene. When they do, it's either